It's March 11th, 2022. Interesting piece came up. I had taped something that refers to Putin's war. It was an ABC 2020 exclusive or whatever. And in it, it has a girl that looks like Nora DiFrio's 1975 sister, who was born 1978. From afar, she looks like a doppelganger. And she's singing this song, which I've never heard, but she's Ukrainian, which I would have never guessed, because Nora calls herself Irish and Italian in North America. So then I'm listening to her, and the subtitles refers to something I've never heard of before called a Cossack, Cossack. So then I go on Google to research what does that word mean, and then the etymology refers, well, first it says southern Russia, Ukraine, then it says horsemanship and military service, which again, I know better than to go into an equine conversation with people who are not feeling like they were pampered. I myself feeling one of them at the moment. But it does say, it jumps from Russian to Turkish, which is an interesting jump because when I was in New York in St. John's preparatory school, which was the high school, which really was not prepping us for anything. I was friends with Melissa Ruskowski, who was Polish, lived in Brooklyn. Only Brooklyn person I've ever met. She grew up there. And people kept saying that we looked alike, although she was about the size I am now, so I didn't really see it, but people said with her hands, whatever. But she had friends who were Greek, Polish, and Turkish, but the Turkish they were looked Greek or Polish, but in a very genetically similar look to my own and to Melissa's, for being in the New York area. So that was interesting. So they had eyes on me in the 1995, 1996 in the local Queens area. There were several witnesses that saw me there. There was another girl named Tina, who was, again, there was so few of us inside of St. John's. And then there was this, then it drops down on the Google search, and it says something about the French version, Cossack. But it's, for me, it's almost, which house is this? En français, it's COSA, which house, and qui, also, je ne sais pas. I mean, again, if you're a nomad, or if you're I think they use the word nomad, and they use the word military. These familial tribal words get blended and then could take on alternate, so it's always more questions. So you have a firm understanding and never jumping to conclusions on your own because you don't want to be caught off guard. I mean, I was born with that trait because I was built for something that's very different than what I've been exposed to in New York. anyhow, so I thought that that was interesting because it's COSA, COSA, which is another word for a translation for the word house. Again, cosa fai is whatever. Which house do you defend? But cosa qui, which house are you from? Je ne sais pas. Non so. I don't know. I cannot find anyone like me. There has been, but such a brief run-in, and then they just disappear. That's how few and far between they are. And I don't have roots into any, like, substance to have continuous anything for a 43-year-old expectation of collecting along the broken road. So I thought that that was interesting. So this is it. This is what the girl looks like, which again reminds me very much. This is the program, and this is the whatever. But the girl here in New York that looks like her was also born in 1978, but she calls herself Italian Irish. And that's what we were told we were in North America, not knowing anything about possible family elsewhere and what they call themselves. Pretty much all of the lineage, the history, the culture has been withheld from us, both Irish and Italian, in North America, but also possibility of where else in the world people like ourselves might exist, which is what we were looking for handsome suitors over 6 foot. Well, that's what I was looking for, over 6 foot, which, I mean, again, nothing arrived that was a stable fixture in this whatever's going on. See here it says of the Cossack stock. So again, I understand that part completely, but that's what it made me think of when I was watching it. The other thing is that on Long Island, when I was in Patchogue around 2015, 2016, Alexander and I were outside one night. I was watching the constellations and the planets. They said that at the time something was going on where Venus, you could see it with your naked eye, and I had seen a large celestial body, but I didn't know what it was because, again, I don't have any intelligence, anybody with any intelligence to explain to me what it is. So Alexander and I went out and we were just witnessing it together. And one night there were these weird, and I caught it on camera, these weird off in the distance. Now I was on the South Shore by the water, but far enough from the water that I couldn't see the water. And in the sky there was these orange, I thought they were like balloons of some sort, of lanterns, I don't know. They were there for a while and then they disappeared. I find out on this thing, they call it tracer fire. Again, I don't know if that's what it really was, but I'm like, that's interesting because it didn't make a sound. And I'm like, and they didn't say anything on the news at the time, like the whatever this is called, I call it the news, but it's what we need, they tell us to look to for instructions. So that gets confusing. Again, it's star 1978, star 8378, Nicole, Cattaruzza. It's Earth, Solar System, Milky Way, Universe, Galaxy is broken. And it's Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, 11361.